start. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Samir. All right, we are ready.
Cool. So welcome everyone to the Global AI Bootcamp for 2023. And this is an exciting opportunity for us to, to learn more about AI and what is happening. There are so many rapid changes happening across us where we live, how we work, uh, from all the virtual assistants, chat GPT, self-driving cars, a lot of things have been impacting our daily lives, right? So during this boot camp, we want us to to discuss and have a chance to to more to to deep dive into this latest trends in this technology field, and also we'll be covering a lot of range of topics in our today's sessions, and we have an amazing line of speakers as well. So just to to name few of them, we are starting with the introduction to Azure. In that case, we have Praveen with us. Other than that, we have people who are across countries. So we have Praveen, we have Kathleen, we have Osama, and we have Ahmed. And the topics range from starting your AI journey on Azure, on how to build uh, AI-based services using APIs, adding OpenAI on Azure, and how you can actually take this as a concept and put it into low-code and no-code applications using Power Platform. Uh, there is more exciting news coming as well. I know you're all excited, and uh, like this week itself, the Chat GPT is now available in preview on Azure. So that's one new achievement in that case, where as a customer you can go ahead and apply all this advanced AI models, including DALI 2. You can take the GPT 3.5, the Codex, and any other large language models uh, to suit your enterprise capabilities and needs and innovate in new ways. So you have been hearing about ChatGPT a lot. So I want to, kind of introduce about what is happening over there and where and what we are doing. So, the ChatGPT was introduced late last year in November. We have seen a lot of scenarios coming around that, like summarizing, generating emails, or even software programming questions using Copilot. But now with ChatGPT on Azure OpenAI, you can actually go ahead and integrate that on your own workloads with AI powered experiences. And few of them we'll see today, like how you can actually build that in your own applications, how you can build it in low code and no code, as well as you can go ahead and enhance your uh, existing services. Like if you have bots to handle unexpected questions, you might have call center conversations where you want to enable faster resolutions in that case, creating personalized offers or claim processing and etc, something like that. Plus, I think Kathleen will also talk about more about cognitive services in that case. So when you combine cognitive services with OpenAI and cognitive search, you get this conversation language and all the knowledge base to retrieve the kind of information you want in that case. With all these things, I want to actually add one more point to it, which is very dear to my heart, is how we can actually go ahead and use this as responsible as possible. So we are already seeing a lot of impact on AI, and I want to stress on this point that this can have a lot of impact on people, companies, to improve their productivity, to amplify the creativity as well, and also maybe augment their everyday tasks in that case, right? So we are committed in the community as well to make sure that the AI systems which we are developing, or we are actually showing you, we use it responsibly, that they are made to work in the way they are intended to, and so that the people can trust on it, right? And models like ChatGPT, DALI, they generate new artifacts in that case, right? So, for example, DALI, if you see, they can generate artifacts uh, uh, which are kind of new. You can say new creativity in that case, right? Or these type of models can also have new challenges, like for example, uh, creating a lot of convincing but incorrect text, so that it can create realistic images, but that never happened. So we are all responsible and into the same area. And without wasting much time, what I'll do is I'll hand over the stage to Praveen. So today, Praveen is going to talk about an introduction to AI on Azure, where he will give you an overview of all the AI features available in the Azure ecosystem. And we'll also look at different cognitive services and how you can actually go ahead and have integrations and opportunities with infrastructure as a service on Azure. So, hi Praveen, thanks a lot for being a part of this community and coming here and explaining how you can bring all these AI features to Azure. And the stage is yours.
Hey, thank you, Hatim. So, hello everyone. Good morning. Thank you for having me here. I have a small deck also. I'm sharing the screen. I hope my screen is visible and my voice is audible.
Yep, we can see it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So I'm Praveen. I am working as a program director at a startup company named AdFox LLC in Dubai. Here, I work. My role involves managing the different application programs, and major chunk of my work is about solution architecture by supporting the teams which handles application development, application modernization, and data engineering tracks, and somewhat some AI is also involved. So while the session, I will mention my experience in that as well. So I am a certified person. I have certifications in Azure architecture, PMP and CSP, few similar certifications as well. I'm a Microsoft Reconnect MVP, and I'm a community contributor. I'm very much new in Dubai, but back in India, I used to conduct many events, and also I contribute in terms of giving is knowledge sharing classes to colleges, universities, and I write a lot as well, publish blogs and articles, and I also mentor selected college fresh graduates as well. So this is my blog and LinkedIn. If uh, would be nice if you can connect me in LinkedIn. I would like to read your post as well as I am very much active there. I share mostly the knowledge sharing content, not much personal content there. It will be useful for you as well. So I'm posting my LinkedIn link in the chat as well. Okay. So starting our session. So this is going to be an introduction section. We do not have much time to go deep dive into the features which I am going to discuss. We have too many features available in Azure ecosystem. I'm not limiting to Azure, but the Microsoft 1 to 3 kilometer around the Microsoft ecosystem itself. But still, in the case of AI, it's not just about Microsoft. What I am thinking is we have kind of invented only the tip of the iceberg. Still, there are too much miles to go, right? So we have been hearing about artificial intelligence since a very long time, and we had so many uh, products, proof of concepts, everything came into picture. Hollow lens and all. Still, it's a successful product, still evolving. So many innovations happened, and still the recent one we started hearing is about the Chat GPT. So we started to really enjoy the power of AI when we got something which we can experiment using our hands, right? But you little bit before that, we were if you are a Microsoft developer or the person who is working around that technologies, you might know already that there are Power Platform products already available, cognitive services available. Some of you might have already tried the sentimental analysis kind of uh, small APIs as well, because Microsoft was giving the hands-on demos available for free through their product page itself. We don't have to start a new .NET program to call that API. The API called with a sample project was already available in the website, right? So what I am going to do is, I do not want to spoil the joy of uh, the other speakers, what they are going to take as well. So I will be keeping myself in a high level, but please feel free to ask any questions, or feel free to make this an interactive event. Uh, so in addition to the features and facilities available in Azure and the around ecosystem, I will be giving suggestions on learning resources as well, and some cost information as well. So starting with the innovative solutions part, if you are new to Azure, I would suggest to go to Google and search for Azure, and you will get a beautiful comprehensive page of which features all the products and its documentation, use cases, everything available. And this AI, which we are going to talk now, is a subset of that Azure ecosystem. The Azure is Microsoft's answer to the cloud. You can kind of compare with the AWS, BCP, and all GCP and all. But if recently we came to, I came to see one funny cartoon as well. So when other providers comes up with the names which doesn't really have any relation with the sounds like its feature, Microsoft is a little bit straightforward. For example, when we say Azure App Service, it is actually the app service. It has app and it has service. But if, for example, if you go with AWS, you have Bean stack. What is Bean? Okay, so a learning curve difference is there, but always you can compare and learn. Always that's there. Okay, going with our features, there are few URLs I have in this PPT. So at the end of this session, I will be sharing this. So if you are interested, you can go to the links which I will be referring in this session. So first of all, the AI services, there are different types of people Azure is targeting, right? So in the case of AI, so we know that AI is a little bit complex. If you really want to build the data models, train the models, feeding the training data. So this is kind of a SME kind of job, right? You people with usually people with PhDs and all who does extensive research and practice in that field comes up with those models and all. That is a data scientist job in our context. But what really developers do, right? Developers comes through usually a electronics or computer science background, And they really do not have to learn how to build an algorithm or a, uh, a machine learning model or training data or anything. They play around in the APIs, technically APIs, and building blocks, the other building blocks. So what innovation Azure AI brings in is, so from the starting of this application development, at least 20, 25, 30 years back itself, the rapid application development, RAD, right? That concept was there with Microsoft. If you remember, there was a Visual Basic in the beginning where you have a tool set available in the Visual Studio or Visual Basic, that environment. In the form, you will be just drag drop the controls, and you will double click on the control and you will write the code. So still Visual Studio kind of follows that as well, but that's kind of a wrapper we are getting there, right? We don't have to write each and every code required to run the application. In the beginning, if we take the example of Visual C++, so Win32 programming for Windows was there. So every control, you have a form, you have a button on that. You have a text box inside that. So each and every item you will have to code. So that situation was there. Then came the wrapper concept, right, where you will be dragging and dropping everything, and the code will be auto-generated, and you can run the application. So that concept is still there with much more innovative and advanced stage. So even you might know the self-service application concept is also there. Earlier, in the case of business reporting, crystal reports and everything, we had from Microsoft as well as SSRS was there, SQL Server reporting service, still it is there, where you will be building reports. The developer will be building the reports. But what is happening is every time the business wants something different, the developer will have to rework on these reports. Now, with the self-service benefit, you can come up with some basic, as a developer, you can come up with some basic report, but the data endpoints are open. The real business user or a executive of the company or a data analyst or a citizen developer can have access to that data. They can play around with data, with the data without much technical knowledge. That's where we are living now. Okay, so similarly, so the developers do not have to build any data models or anything. They don't have to touch any data set or anything. Everything is available right there. The data scientist will build the model. They know the languages like Python and R today. They will build whatever they want. What developers will be doing is, in the application, they will be just calling the API, or there will be different building blocks available. They will be just consuming it. Technically, they are just integrating it. So these are the two roles actually we have now. So, and the facilities available in Azure AI stack, it came through decades of research and efforts, right? This research is not necessarily inside Microsoft, but so much of research is happening by different teams, these universities everywhere. So and also, even the OpenAI, it came as an acquisition. Right now, it is available inside the Azure itself. So like any resource we access, we can access OpenAI as well today. ChatGPT also available now. We can integrate in our bot applications or conversation applications today. and responsible AI practices that will come to that. That is one of the important concept in AI, not just Microsoft, and the flexibility of Azure that we know already. So the uh, decades back, we used to maintain our own servers or data centers, or we used to host in some shared servers. So much complexity was there. Now it is not anymore there. If you are a Visual Studio user, you know that you have multiple ways you can deploy an application. One of the simplest method for simple websites might be just download the deployment profile, and you can publish from your Visual Studio solution directly within 30 seconds or 1 minute. It will be up in the air. So that much flexibility is already there. So our Azure AI will be leveraging the same flexibility for all the new features as well. So this vision, speech, language, decision making, these AI models were available already, and it is getting improved day by day. And in addition to this, we have this OpenAI also added, right? And everything is called using simply API calls. No, it's very straightforward. It's just input parameters. It will process, and you will get the output as a response, or some process will happen. So we have a dedicated session today, which the speaker will talk more about that, how easy that API calls are. And additionally, there is something we do not have to really bother about. The infrastructure, that is one of the benefit of cloud, any cloud, right? So we don't have to maintain any servers. So based on the complexity of the business process or the machine learning, these libraries, the processes, the at a scale is happening, right? So automatically scale up, scale down can happen. So no matter how much power, GPU power, this particular ML model requires, it's not anymore a problem. I still remember some 7-8 years back, one of the data scientists who worked in my previous company, he used to demand and complain every day. He wants a costly computer, a gaming laptop or something, probably with at least 64 gigs of GPU and all. And today it is not anymore a problem. He can work on any regular laptop. It's just a matter of spinning a required workload, the servers in Azure. Automatically, after his experiments, we can remove that, so we save some cost as well. And what kind of infra features we are getting, we will discuss after some time. And this is another benefit, right? So earlier, the tools used to come up with their own its own process, and also you will have to learn a specific roadmap, specific tool set, everything. But in Azure, whatever you know already, you can reuse here. Like I think all or most of the data scientists and analysts use Jupyter notebooks, this R language, Python language, right? And the libraries used like TensorFlow, PyTorch, everything. So when you are coming to Azure AI and ML platform, you really do not have to learn anything new. So whatever you know already, you can apply the same here. So in Azure ML, you get a studio there, a ML studio, where it's you will get a feeling of you are using Visual Studio, where all the tools are available in the tool set, and it's just a matter of drag drop and doing some configuration, and you will get a flowchart kind of appearance. So it's very easy to relate as well. In the case of Jupyter Notebook, exactly what you install in your local machine or your university server, you are getting the same thing. So you write some code, it can get executed immediately itself. Everything is maintained in one place. So there is no experience difference. So whatever you were doing before, you will continue to do here. That's it. So now why AI? That I really do not have to explain anything today because everyone knows, right? So when I say Azure AI, so bits and pieces I have already discussed. The first benefit is about build on your own terms. That means the access frameworks, tools, and capabilities for developers and data scientists of any level. So there is no much extra efforts happening. So you are following some methodologies and knowledge skills, everything, and whatever you have already, you will be following. And in the case of Azure AI, the Azure part, if you know Azure, how the portal works, how the APIs works, everything, it's going to be the same. You will be leveraging the same thing. So for AI features, you don't have much learning curve anymore. Next one is the mission critical AI solutions. So these are all proven AI solutions. It's all kind of stable only, right? So uh, so we, if you remember the Xbox, HoloLens, already we are on Microsoft Teams. These are all proven platforms, and you know AI is there already used by these tools. So those already proven AI capabilities are now available in Azure for you to use in your business applications and other applications as well. So we don't have to fear, is this going to fail or anything. It's not like that. It's all stable already. Now the AI responsibility, it's a little bit important factor, I would say. See, every tool, it's not just AI. Let us talk in terms of AI here. So there is something called social compliance, right? So whenever you make a tool, you have to make sure we treat human as a human being. No discrimination should be there. So and privacy and security, right? So the one of the benefit our all our Azure resources are having and our Azure AI is having is you will be leveraging kind of platform as a services, right? So it's hosted in Azure already. You might be using the APIs in your application. It's not just in Azure. It's most of the services are available in Edge as well. You can consider as a on-premise implementation as well. So even in that cases, so whatever solution you are using, you have to make sure it is compliant with the rules of the land and emotions, everything, right? So the services should be fairly handling the situations. The reliability and safety is also very important, right? So uh, if the service is giving a prediction, for example, uh, a, some to give an example, a sales prediction. So it should not be giving a wrong answer, right? It can tell you this much percentage of variation can happen, but it can, if you are expecting a 90 percentage, it should not be saying 150 percentage or 50 percentage, right? Some kind of reliability should be there. So similarly, the privacy and security is very important, that uh, the who can have access to the data, and am I respecting your privacy, the data privacy, the HIPAA rules and all, right? The rules of the land basically. So everything is need to be taken care, and Azure AI is compliant. It's not specifically to Azure AI. We know that take any service in Microsoft Azure, it is compliant. The security, everything is built in. So uh, we are conducting this even mainly for the UAE region. If you look at some of the resources available, you may not find few resources or few data sources data regions available in this UAE region. That's for a reason. But after compliance check, certification, everything, it will also come. So until recently, the chat GPT feature was available in Bing, but it was not available in UAE. But now it is available. I requested for an access and I got in one of the account some 2 3 weeks back, and I had another account which without even requesting an access, I got a mail yesterday that the latest Bing is available for me. So similarly, gradually, whenever we are getting compliant, the services are getting availed to the public. Now, again, this is an important thing. You can find dedicated pages on in Microsoft, and even there is one uh, good course on responsible AI available in Microsoft Learn as well. That link also I will provide. Now, coming to the benefits of ecosystem. Again, bits and pieces we already discussed. So there are different, yeah, services, AI services available. Earlier, some of them were not part of Azure AI ecosystem. For example, the bot framework was there. It was a separate service. Initially, it was a kind of on-premise service. Now it got moved to Azure, and now it's part of the Azure AI itself. So similarly, uh, now it's an umbrella. So all the resources, all the features somewhat related to Azure, somewhat related to AI and ML has been brought under a single umbrella. Some of them you can see the conversations. I already told you the bot service is there. It uses AI and Lewis framework, everything is available. The documents, the form recognizer, that's a very good feature. If you have a printed form, it can extract values from that. And we have the cognitive search. It's I would say, a kind of enterprise search. If you have multiple data sources, this cognitive search can learn the data and it can give you the answers for your questions. And similarly, we have monitoring, videos, indexer, accessibility, the immersive reader. These kind of features are also available. So how it is going to help us? It's a wow factor for sure when we say we can extract values from document, but where are we going to use, right? So in our enterprise or business applications, or in our business workplaces, this kind of uh, requirements are there, right? So some traditional application or will be handling, or some person, a human being dedicated for that task might be doing it already. So we can modernize our business processes. That's one benefit. But we have to understand what each is doing, and we can do the replacement easily. And I think the bot service that already started replacing the virtual assistant, the not virtual, the assistants, the contact form and all already. Now with the introduction of Chat GPT, we the people will get intelligent answers even without doing much training as well here. So if you have used bot service before, there was a little bit of training overhead. Now everything is going to be automatic. I am yet to try that feature, but I read about that recently. Next one is we the accelerated development part. The time going to take for development is very less going to be, because the major chunk of that functionality is already available. So it's just a matter of integration, the integration and testing time we require. And the Azure ecosystem, technically we can run this anywhere, right? Even uh, in your laptop as well. You just need an internet connection. Yeah, so be it a desktop application or web application or a kiosk application, tab application, it doesn't matter. Technically, it can run responsibly everywhere by respecting your privacy, security, data, everything. Now, the cognitive service, I'm not going to talk much about that because we have a dedicated session. So on a high level, these vision, speech, language, decision, web search, and our OpenAI. So these are it's a most comprehensive portfolio of AI capabilities currently in the market. So we can build confidently with the first AI services to achieve human parity in computer vision, this speech, language, everything. And you can get started quickly. That is one important aspect. Like I said in the beginning, there is no learning curve. There is no much learning curve. So you can simply sign up for a resource in Azure, like how you do for any other resource like app service or functions or VM. Just like that, you will start, and automatically a key will be generated, and you can use that key to connect to the specific SDK or whichever application this cognitive service can be leveraged directly. Now, ML, that is there for a very long time now. Now, again, like I mentioned, so you don't have to come up with a new process here. You have Machine Learning Studio available within Azure portal itself. You whatever you know, if you know R, you do the model building in R. If you know Python, or if you know both, you mix and match. Okay, so you have full freedom and leverage the Jupyter notebook and whatever facilities you were enjoying before. And also there are automated machine learning available, like there are already pre-built models available and samples available. You can reuse them in the machine learning studio itself and customize it to match your requirement. And once you deploy, it's the Azure infrastructure, right? You don't have to bother about how much GPU you require. So let the machine learning framework handle everything for you. And you play around with all the libraries, the Kubeflow, PyTorch, MLflow, TensorFlow, whatever you want to use, you can use there as well. And ultimately, the AI infrastructure, right? That is, like I said, you don't have to worry much about this part, because for most of the applications like cognitive services and all, Microsoft Azure will handle that part based on the type of application you are building. The load, it will auto detect and it will internally provision whatever is required. But still, if you know the type of load, you have the freedom to choose your workloads as well, right? Recently, Microsoft introduced the Azure N series VMs as well. Let me see if I can give you a URL. We'll see. So N series is actually the GPU optimized. It is basically for the GPU intensive applications. We have H series as well for high performance applications, but that is different. But again, depending on the type of application you are using, um, you or your architect must be knowing. So what kind of resources they have to provision for your application. And this we discussed kind of already. So the Azure AI as of today, we can have somewhat like this, but the portfolio is growing rapidly recently, and more items will come. Now, if you are new to Azure AI, I would suggest you to go to these pages first. One is this in the Azure main page itself, you can see one products link. So inside that, all the resources, information on all the resources available in Azure is there. So today we are more interested in the AI plus machine learning aspects alone. Uh, you can get information on all the services here, right? So this much services are available as of today. Okay, and some of them are review. See, that's one benefit you get as a user of Azure. You get to use some features even before it is available for public, general public. And say this is one recent introduction to the Azure AI stack. So we are not going one by one. So, but whatever we have discussed today are available here. Say form recognizer is here, bot service is here, immersive reader. So almost everything is there. Now, this is the N series. There is a dedicated page for which lists all types of virtual machines available in Azure. So A, B, these are entry level. And so for each type of application or task, you will have to choose intelligently the what type of VM you want. So this is only when if you design very complex application, very complicated application, right? So most of the time you don't have to check this unless your architect says your application is not performing well or no. But again, if you are working on this cognitive services and all, you do not require this knowledge. But I just wanted to tell you that there is one N service, N series available, which is kind of specifically made for machine learning kind of GPU intensive tasks. If you search for, yeah, let's see. This is the only series which gives, okay. Okay, time is running. I will wind up quickly. Now, the cost part, that is very important thing if you are working in an enterprise, right? So if you have a free tier, you have limitations for sure, but it is very good that Azure is giving a free tier so you can learn. And most of the companies you work for, they also will give you a learning account kind of for POCs and experimentation. The $50 credit accounts are available. So if your company is the Azure Microsoft partner, you might be having that leverage. You will get that. So, but when you design applications for production, right, you have to estimate the monthly cost or TCO, the total cost of ownership, right? So most of the services, AI services pricing is also available here. I will not say this is a cheap provision to option. The quality always comes with a price, but we have the pay as you go model as well. And if you can estimate the number of hours your resource is going to take, then you can intelligently plan the other committed dedicated plans as well. And we have reserved instances as well, where comparatively the cheaper than the dedicated ones. So we will go with one OpenAI. We will try OpenAI. See, OpenAI is already available, so you can go. You can see currently it's the price is available for this only, and uh, most of the regions are currently not supported as well. But whenever it is available, it will be present here. So for the time being, we will have to go with some other nearest region if you really want to implement this in your applications. I know that in most of the government and enterprise in this region uh, uh, mandates that the hosting or data center region also should be the UAE itself. You just give some parameters and you will get the total price, upfront price, or whatever you choose, the estimated monthly. Obviously, if you go with the pay-as-you-go model, this is the maximum you might be spending per month. But obviously, in my experience, definitely we will not be paying this much. Now, quickly, the learning aspects. So, Microsoft is already having a Microsoft Learn platform, right? So that is the number one I would like to recommend, because whenever a new service or resource is introduced, definitely Microsoft is the one documenting also it first. Now, community is also helping to maintain the content, and Microsoft documentation is also available here, right? And there are many paid resources also available for upskilling, like Pluralsight, right? And Udemy. That I am not mentioning there. That's up to you. But if you want to get very good knowledge, I would ask you to start with the Microsoft Learn itself. You can search for some keywords and you will get tons of courses related to that. And whenever some features get obsolete, they remove as well, or they will just warn you this was deprecated some time back. And if you are more interested in the documentation, the architecture part, this is also very good. That is within the Microsoft Learn only. You get tons of resources, like how to documentation, use cases, and that too industry specific, be it healthcare, education, whatever. You will get architecture references, everything. See, in our case, there is a dedicated session, see more for more. So you can have a look at that as well. Now, if you want to get certified, we have two certifications available today. So one is Azure AI Fundamentals. You just have to pass one exam, AI 900, and little bit advanced exam, AI Engineer Associate is also available, 102. The learning material for these also freely available inside the Microsoft Learn. And if you want to see sample projects and all, you can always leverage the GitHub like public repositories. And ultimately, I suggest you get your hands dirty, right? It's very simple. It's very straightforward. You don't have to be a big techie to understand how these things work. There are no much learning curve, right? So you just go to portal, create a resource, and within once that resource is created, you will get in the first page itself, there are sample applications, right? You just create, go with one sample application and you will get the code or strategy, how it is implemented, and you can customize it to your use. And you will get the direct resources as well, right? So it links to Microsoft Learn documentation and the quick start hello world kind of guides, and there are links to the community where you can ask your doubts as well. Since I am running out, I am not talking much about this, and we reached the end of this session. So if you have doubts, you can quickly ask. If you have some detailed, I know I did not discuss anything in detail, but this session was mainly for the benefit of the beginner to intermediate, just to introduce the features available in Azure OpenAI stack. So if you want to learn something in detail on, or if you have specific questions, feel free to ask me. Okay, you can contact me via LinkedIn. Then that's all. Okay, thank you team.
Thank you so much, Praveen, for the informative session. Guys, if you have any questions, please you can feel free to type on the chat, and we will be more than happy to answer. So up next, we have Kathleen, who will be demonstrating how AI is just in one API call away. So Kathleen, the stage is all yours.
Yes, thank you for that, Ahmad. I'm gonna let you guys grab a cup of coffee for like 3 minutes. We'll start at 12 p.m. sharp. And then we're gonna deep dive a bit into artificial intelligence. We're gonna play a bit with cognitive services. We're basically gonna build a resource and see what we can do with it. So it's gonna be slightly technical. The session level I estimate it to be at the 200 level. And it's gonna be pretty fun. So for the next 45 minutes, we'll see what exactly we can do with artificial intelligence in Azure. So I'll give you 2 minutes and let's reconvene at 12 p.m. sharp. Okay, let's get started. So thank you once again for joining. For the next 45 minutes, we're gonna deep dive a bit into the world of artificial intelligence in Azure. We're gonna basically demonstrate some of the capabilities that Praveen was mentioning earlier into the last session. And yeah, we're gonna make it a bit interactive. As you can see, probably I just have 3 slides, which are basically just for presentation reasons, in which I'm gonna explain you a bit what we're going to do and how we're going to do it in the next 45 minutes. So it's gonna be pretty interactive. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's gonna be a live demo. We're going to go into Azure. We're going to build some resources. We're going to use those resources from a development perspective to see what exactly we can do with artificial intelligence, with cognitive services, actually just a part of artificial intelligence, and how we can integrate them into our applications, right? And then at the end of the session, we're going to see kind of a live demo with a custom built-in app that me and my team built for exactly for demo for presentation reasons, right? To just give you a glimpse of the various, let's say, business use cases that can be followed when it comes to artificial intelligence and where exactly it can be applied, right? So before that, let me also give you a brief intro about me as well. My name is Katalin Popa. I've been dealing with Azure for the past 10 years. Yeah, kind of a long time. In the last 6 years, I've basically been a consultant for various projects around the world, enterprise and governance projects, basically implementing cloud projects, native applications, cloud migrations, artificial intelligence projects, and so on and so forth, right? I'm also Microsoft MVP, a most valuable professional, and from an AI perspective, as I said, I've been involved in several projects, especially in Europe, along with my team. in which we're basically implementing custom-made solutions for various companies so that they can benefit from the AI world that Azure presents. What we're going to cover today, kind of already said it, right? We're going to build an Azure Cognitive Service resource in Azure. Then we're going to explain a bit how this API-driven concept actually works in Azure. You'll see it's pretty simple. So even if you don't have full developer capabilities, let's go like that, you'll see that from an integration perspective, actually using artificial intelligence in Azure, the built-in models at least, it's pretty simple. We're going to get into that in just one second. And then, as I said, we're going to see some business applicability for Azure Cognitive Services and see how can they fit into the real life, into the real world that we currently live in. So without further ado, let's actually start doing that. I'm going to share with you an Azure portal, of course, in which I've created already a resource group, which I famously created, named it Global AI Bootcamp. And I also have here a storage account in which I will store some images that I will use at a certain point. I'll show it to you just from the start. I have here 2 images. We'll get into that into a second. But before that, I want to quickly show you how easy it is to create an Azure Cognitive Service. So you just need to go into the marketplace, you search for Cognitive Services, and if you want to create a general resource of Azure Cognitive Services, you can easily just select this resource right here, which is published by Microsoft, right, as an Azure service. You create it. And then, of course, you have to fill in some minimal details on where you will create your cognitive service. The subscription, the resource group name, the region in which you want to build your resource for data residency reasons, right? So in case you want to use the closest data center from your location, you have a wide variety of locations that you can choose from. Me being in Europe, it's the closest one it's West Europe. I'm going to give it a name, and I'll gonna call it Global AI 2023. Let's see if that works. Okay, great. And as pricing tier, I just have only one. Praveen already told you about that from a pricing perspective, right? And basically that would be mostly it from an information perspective. I also have to check this box that I acknowledge that I have read and understood the terms of agreement and agreements below. It's mostly related to the responsible AI notice. So all of those things that Praveen mentioned earlier, in which we have to make our technology inclusive and we have to make it equal to all social parts and to not use it in any, let's say, mean way, right? This is the responsible AI notice that is basically that you basically have to acknowledge here. I'm going to go pass through networking and identity because I'm not going to over-configure my resource. It's just plain resource that I want to use. From a networking perspective, just in really short terms, it mostly refers how your resource can be accessed, right? So if you want to make it available for the whole public, for the whole internet, of course, you can choose all networks right here. If you just want some resource required for that, that's my Cortana. If you want to choose just selected networks or selected IPs or people that can use this resource, of course, you can go on selected networks, and disabled is basically keep it private and only access it through private IP matters. I'm going to go on all networks from a networking perspective. As an identity, it basically relies on the Azure Active Directory. So if you ever want to have a managed identity for your service, you can simply put it on first. Right, I'll keep it off for the moment. Tags, then review and create. And once the validation is passed, let's just create it. So for most of you who have already probably dealt with Azure up until now, it's pretty straightforward, as you can see. Of course, the creation of a resource can be done in different ways. I've done it for the portal, but you can do it for PowerShell, you can do it for CLI, you can do it for ARM templates or biceps, you can do it for Terraform, you name it, right? At the end of the day, it's as simple as creating, right, a resource like this in just a couple of minutes. Now, once created, you'll see that the Cognitive Services multi-service account, we'll talk about that in just a second, It's pretty straightforward. There's not much that you need to configure here. It's basically kind of a black box, if you want to put it like that, in which you just use it and that's it. And when I say just use it and that's it, is because if you look at it from a resource management perspective, you can see that you have a bunch of details that you can use to make your API request. And we're actually going to do that in a couple of minutes, right? You'll see here an endpoint, you'll see the region in which you built the resource, and you'll see some keys that you will use at a certain point. But that's about it. There's nothing much that you need that you can configure here, apart from the pricing tier, which at this point is just one, right? It's the standard one. You can only configure the networking part, and that's it. All of the other things are basically kind of let's say informational pieces that you can find here. So no overcomplicated steps to configure it, no overcomplicated steps to actually do it. As I said, it's kind of a predefined box in which you just use it and that's it. And I'm saying this because, of course, from an artificial intelligence perspective in Azure, it's not just this. You'll see in the other sessions that my colleagues have that you can build your own models with machine learning, that you can build your own models even with custom cognitive services, right? But here with this, let's say, predefined cognitive services account, you can use predefined models that Microsoft basically created already for you to do a certain thing. And we'll get through that list in just a second. You'll see it, right? And then based on that, you will receive a predefined outcome that also Microsoft kind of tailored for you as well, right? So just this is the reason why basically this is just a fixed box in which you just use it as I said through API-driven methods, right? Now, coming back to the part of cognitive services multi-service account, reason why this is multi-service account is because this service that I built just here can be used in various ways. I can use this to create API requests that will be related to vision cognitive services capabilities, right? So, for example, I can send to this service an image, and based on that image, I can extract valuable information from there, like what is being in that image described, or what are the colors of that image, or what text from an OCR perspective I can extract from that image, and so on and so forth. But of course, being a multi-service account, it can also go beyond that. So if I want to have at a certain point capabilities from an audio perspective, like for example, transform text to speech or speech to text, I can use again the same service, right, to do exactly just that. Reason why I'm mentioning this is because from a governance perspective, it's a bit important on how you build your resources in Azure. So if you ever want a resource that can do it all with just one endpoint, like this one, and you use this key for various reasons, vision, audio, text, and so on and so forth, this is the way to go. If you want to separate them from a resources perspective, right, you can always search for computer vision, for example. And you'll find, again, an Azure service, which will still be a cognitive service, but it will be specifically for computer vision. It's the same thing. It's only that from that multi-service account, you will basically just have the computer vision capability and not the other ones, right? Same thing for text analytics, for example, right? In which, with the environment here, I'm going to show it to you actually pretty simple. If you look at my old cognitive services, I have different kinds of cognitive services that I have built around here, right? So I have a computer vision one, I have a face one, a speech services one, text analytics, text translations, and then the one which I built basically as the general one. So in really simplistic terms, right, these are very specific to just a part of cognitive services that Azure offers, right? Computer vision, face, and so on and so forth. And if you don't want to use specific ones in your Azure architecture, you can build a general one like I did right here, right? And basically encompasses them all, right? Has pros and cons. So it really depends on how you want to do security under your resources. It really depends on how you want to architecture your application from a code perspective. You can choose either ways, right? Both have pros and cons, but we're not going to get into that. I just made this as a note in case you guys are interested on how that governance can be achieved at a certain way. Okay, so once we have this resource we can actually start using it. And if you don't want to go and start building your own application to use it, actually Microsoft offers you a pretty cool, let's say, portal, more or less, which is called basically Cognitive Services Development Portal, right? In which here you have listed all of the APIs that are available into a general resource like this, right? So into a Cognitive Services multi-service account, these are all the APIs that you can basically use, right? Again, offered by Microsoft, so that you can start your artificial intelligence capability, anomaly detector, going further, computer vision, auto suggest, and so on and so forth. And for every one of them, of course, you have also a description of what each one can do, right? So if you're looking at computer vision, the first version, it provides you state-of-the-art algorithms to process images and return information. And it gives you an example on how it can be used to determine if images contains mature content or can find all the faces in an image, and so on and so forth, right? So it's basically, realistically, a dirty little helper on what you can do from an artificial intelligence perspective with cognitive services. The list is pretty long, right? So as you can see, there are like 7 pages here of APIs that you can use. You have Lewis as well, right? You have Azure Metrics Advisor if you want to do that. It's actually longer than 7 pages. Sorry for that. I'm curious what's the latest page. So 11 pages. Great. Right? But at the end of the day, a whole bunch of APIs that you can basically use to develop API capabilities. Now, for demo reasons, let's actually search for computer vision. It's probably easier to demonstrate something visually when you're doing an online presentation, right? And for that, I'm going to use the latest stable preview for computer vision, which is version 3.1. Now, keep in mind when I'm talking about these APIs right here, don't imagine it's just one single API that you can actually use as computer vision. No, you'll see that once I go into this library of APIs, computer vision, I actually have multiple other endpoints that I can use to achieve different results, right? And you're seeing here all of these things like analyze image, describe image, detect objects, OCR, read, and so on and so forth. All of these API endpoints that you see on the left of the panel are basically endpoints that achieve different results, right? And the best way to actually make you guys understand what I'm talking about is by basically demonstrating how this actually works. Now let's do first describe image, probably the most powerful one. Apart from the information in which, of course, it kind of explains you what you can do with computer vision, so on and so forth, you also have a description of what this specific API actually does, right? It generates a description of an image in human readable language with complete synthesis, right? And then, of course, it gives you kind of a description, a documentation on how the API works and what you need to do, right? From a technical perspective, you need to make a request to this endpoint, and you can input these parameters, and you can have these request headers, and your request body needs to look at it like this, and the response will be like this, and so on and so forth. So it's basically a full-on documentation from a technical perspective on how it actually looks like, how you should make the request, and how the response would look like in different scenarios, right? And at the end of the day, if you really want to also see from a coding perspective how you should integrate it into your application, you also have simple code samples that you can use to integrate it into your application, regardless of what you're coding into. So if you're using curl, or if you're using C#, or if you're using PHP or Python, you name it, here you'll find simple snippets, right, which basically does this API request for you. But apart from that, you also have the API testing console, which is kind of a visual representation of how that API request actually works. And we're going to do exactly just that, right? So you have to fill in some parameters, as we've read in the documentation before. Now, my host will be basically the resource that I've built right here. And the name of that host is this Global AI 2023. Right, it asks me for a subscription key. So these secret keys that I have right here, I'm going to use one of them. Right, and then as request body, it's asking me for a location of an image that I want to analyze. And here comes in the storage account that I've been mentioning to you guys earlier, in which I have a couple of images. And I have here, for example, into this link, I have a picture of the Statue of Liberty, right? Pretty majestic, with a lot of colors on it. And I want to analyze exactly just that, right? If I paste here the URL and I hit send, I will get a 200 OK response. And then my response will basically be this this JSON file from Microsoft, in which it tells me as the description, because that's what basically this particular API is doing, right? This is generating a description of an image in human readable language. Well, that description will basically be a statue of a person holding a torch with Statue of Liberty in the background, right? Now, as tags, you can see that I have also some tags which are relevant to my picture. I can see sky in there. I can see it's outdoorish. I can see it's a bit cloudy. Kind of looks like it, right? I can see it's also kind of in some part of the day, and so on and so forth, right? And also gives me metadata about the information as well, like the height of the image and the width of the image, and also the format as well. So depending on what you want to achieve, of course, right, you can basically choose from all of those API endpoints. So this is just for computer vision. Now imagine that for each and any other capability of cognitive services like audio and text analytics and face and so on and so forth, you also have different other sets of API endpoints. So if you actually number them, if you count them, you'll end up with hundreds or even thousands of API endpoints that you can actually use to have predefined AI capabilities via API, right? Let's do also analyze image for the sake of testing on the same image. Let's see how it goes, right? So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to take the name of my resource. Sorry for that. This one. Right. And I'm going to want to look for, just to categorize my image. Let's see how it really gets categorized, right? And also look for landmarks as well. In English language, I'm going to need a subscription key as well. Right. And then as image, I'm going to send the exact same thing, which is this one. Let's send it, see what's the response. Right, so it will integrate my image into the category building because it probably on the artificial intelligence understood that this is a building, right? And it also, of course, found a landmark, a pretty well-known one, which is the Statue of Liberty, with a confidence of 96%. Now, this confidence is basically the way the artificial intelligence is telling you that, look, I've analyzed your image. I'm identifying in that image that you probably have the Statue of Liberty in it, and I'm 96% sure that's basically the Statue of Liberty what I'm identifying around here, right? So I'm mentioning this because at a certain point, this confidence score can also be a good indicator on how you can perceive the responses that you receive from Azure Cognitive Services, right? If it's a low score, it's probably not a good idea to include it, right, and to consider it. But if it's a high score like this, like 96%, then it's probably a good idea to include it because the artificial intelligence is pretty sure that what it identified, it's basically the thing that's actually in there. Right. Cool. Last but not least, just for the sake of making free examples, let's also see how the read API is actually looking, right? So the read API is processing information and returns information, processes images and returns information. It can be used to determine if an image contains mature content as computer vision, right? And then the read operation is basically extracting text from images or multiple images. And we're going to see how that works as well. It's basically OCR, but with a twist. Let's go like that. The same process. You're going to get the resource name. We're going to choose English as language. You can choose from multiple languages. We're going to get into that in 1 second. It's just not, it's not just these predefined ones, right? You'll see that from a cognitive services perspective, now you have, I think, 170 or 180 languages that you can use, right, in your day-to-day cognitive services, such as Read or any other tools that you want to use. So it's pretty extensive. Let's do it again. Now let's take another image because I want an image with text as well. I'm going to use the other one. And the other one basically looks like this. A simple image with some text. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was blah, 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 right? Going to do exactly just that. Right, and I'm going to send it. Now, as response, you're going to see that this API is basically a two-step process. You're going to find that at a certain point into some of the APIs that you have in Azure Cognitive Services. It really depends on the capabilities. The more complex the capability, the more complex the response as well. And when I say the more complex the response, it will basically be a two-way API capability that you need to achieve, meaning that I've sent this API request to Azure, and Azure gives me back an result analysis, which is basically an ID, this one, that I have to copy here. Now, if I want to see the actual results of the text that I extracted, right, from that image, I have to use another API, which is get read result, right? And here, I have to use that operation ID that I just got from that earlier API request, right? This one. Put again the details of my cognitive service. The key as well. Send it, and then I will have my response in terms of text, right? So the text was, it was the best of times, it was the worst of time, it was whatever, right? The response will look like this. I've analyzed your image, it was a success. This is when you basically created a request. This is when I updated the request, so it took me a couple of milliseconds to actually do it. It's just, the read results are like this. On the first page, which the page is like with a width of 700 and a height of 440 pixels, I'm going to find something which is in English, and the text on the first line, it was the best of, and each word from here, it will basically be analyzed as well, right? I found it with a confidence of 98.8%, was 98.7%, and so on and so forth, right? So you'll see that what this API does is basically taking each line that you have, it was the best of, it was the best of, and then basically analyzing it in pieces in each word, each segment, right? From a confidence perspective, how confident it is that's actually the exact word that has been written. Times, it was the worst, right? The same thing. The second line is basically exactly just like that. Takes each word from here and analyzes it in detail, right? And so on and so forth. Now you'll also probably observe this bounding box. This bounding box also gives you the location of what has been analyzed. So that, for example, this times right here, it gives me this bounding box of 88.191.271 and so on and so forth. That basically means that if I want to find the location if this word at a certain point, with those points right here, with these coordinates that I have right here, sorry, it basically tells me that the first point that I have to consider from a programmatic perspective will be 88 pixels with 191 pixels, which will basically probably be some location right here in my image. If I'm looking for the second coordinating point, it will be 271 with 192, which will basically probably be this corner right here. And then when I use all of these coordinates from my bounding box, I can actually draw a box around my word so that I can actually know the location as well. And you're probably wondering why this is important. We'll see a bit into the demos from a business applicability perspective, that sometimes location can help you in a lot of business reasons, like validating some documents, or at a certain point, of course, even making sure some of the documents are real or fake, right? But yeah, enough for the technical part. I probably bored you a bit with this capability, right? So just keep in mind that when you're talking about cognitive services with the predefined ones, you have a bunch of predefined machine learning models that you can directly use. And if you really want to learn on how you can use them or how you can integrate them from a code perspective, right, from an application perspective, this third little helper that you have right here, right, the Cognitive Services Dev Portal, can give you a lot of information on how those APIs can be called. What do you need to include in your API call? What are some code samples that you can use, and so on and so forth. Now, let's go to the fun part, which is a bit more interactive. Let me open the application in a second. So I promised you that we're going to talk about some business applicability, right? And show you a bit, let's say, from an application perspective on how it looks like in a more, let's say, friendly manner. And here, me and my team basically developed an application for demo reasons, for presentation reasons, on what can be achieved and how it can be achieved, right? And you're seeing here a bunch of those APIs that we have been discussing about earlier, and how we can actually structure that very ugly JSON, right? Because at a certain point, you've seen that the responses basically look very ugly or very, let's say, unstructured. Based on that, of course, with some other coding perspective that you need to implement into your code, you can achieve really, really nice results with this. And let's start with analyze image content, because we've basically done that with our Statue of Liberty image, right? Let's do one now with Tour Eiffel from France, right? So when you're taking out the coding and the ugly JSON perspective out of it, right, you can actually achieve pretty good information with all of those capabilities that you're seeing in the API request, right? So at a certain point, you can send an image, right, and you can have a pretty good description of what's in that image. You can use those tags, of course, to find out relevant information of what's happening in that image. You can categorize the image, you can find out landmarks, and so on and so forth. You're probably wondering, okay, this is really cool, but how can I actually use it from a business case perspective? And to respond to that question, I'm going to send this image, which is basically a bunch of screws and a bunch of, I know, metal, if you want to call it like that. And one business case that we had at a certain point, a real life use case, was with a factory which was basically creating these type of screws. And now imagine in that factory having a camera, which is basically looking at a production line. And in case some screw is not, let's say, in standard terms, in terms of how it has been produced, then artificial intelligence looks at it. It basically stops the production line so that somebody, some human, of course, can go into the production line and take off the production line what's not supposed to be in there, right? So it has that applicability as well. You just have to find those specific cases in which you can use these kind of capabilities that you have in artificial intelligence, right? Now, a bit more, let's say, ordinary is also from a data extraction perspective, a lot of scenarios in which you can actually use that information that you extract from text, right? So if you remember, we sent an image to extract text from it. Now, any company at a certain point receives invoices, right? And at a certain point, it would be nice that instead of your finance department to process those invoices manually, you can also extract from your invoices the data automatically and then pass it along to other tools that can process your payment automatically as well. So I'm going to show you how the invoice looks like. it's a demo one, right? But basically, I have an invoice which is being sent by company 123, which has an address. It's sending an invoice to company 789. It sent it in 2020 with some money that, of course, they need to get from that other company, right? And some services that, of course, were built. Now, all of those details, you can actually extract them with the API that I just shown you earlier, right? Of course, if you structure your response and you also do a little bit of other magic on the text as well, you can achieve a result like this, in which you can extract every other metadata that you have in your, sorry for that, any other metadata that you have in your invoice. Same goes with passports. So at a certain point, right, if you want to analyze passports or structured documents, of course, I'm going to send my old passport. You can extract automatically details from any type of passport or any type of, local ID and so on and so forth, right? Which can further on be used to solutions like know your customer solutions and so on and so forth. Last but not least, because we're talking about know your customer solutions, you can also analyze the faces, of course, in case it's really needed, for identification reasons or for, let's say, customer satisfaction reasons, right? And at a certain point, with the APIs that you have predefined from Microsoft, you can send an image or a video. Let's send Bill Gates right here. Right, in which we can see that Bill Gates into this specific image is really happy because probably he just announced a new feature and he probably is going to make a lot of money from some other feature from Microsoft. I'm just joking. Right, let's analyze who else. Johnny Depp into this other picture, which is probably at the movie gala or whatever. Right, in which it's kind of happy, kind of neutral, right? But it gives you a pretty good insight of what he's feeling at that point, or at least how he's feeling at that point, right? And then going further, because we're talking about know your customer solutions as well. Imagine at a certain point that you have to compare if one of your customers is actually providing you a valid ID with his own picture, right? So let's presume that if you want to compare it to images, let's presume a selfie. And let's presume that selfie is made by Johnny Depp. And you want to compare it with some other picture that he just sent you for verification reasons. And let's presume the image from Jack Sparrow, right? Then it will look at the two faces, and on a lot of, let's say, structure complexity on the face, like the distance between the eyes, the distance between the left eye and the nose, the distance between the mouth and the eyes, and so on and so forth. And based on all of those calculations, it will basically going to tell you, look, these persons are the same persons, right? So you'll have this true or false result right here. And in terms of on how they look like 81% almost the same. Because into this picture, he had dreads and he had a hat and he had a mustache that here he doesn't have it, right? So don't keep a, let's say, a corroboration between similarity and the same person, because you can have similarity of, let's say, for example, 60% and still be the same person as well. Or you can have similarities of 70% and not be the same person. There are two different parameters that you need to look upon when it comes to comparing faces. Right, but these are static examples. For example, because we're talking again about know your customer solutions, I have one more demo that I can show to you guys. Give me 1 second, which is a bit more interactive. Let's hope it works. Give me 1 second. There it is. Right, so what this does, let me copy my endpoints, my key, and let me save it. So this specific piece of application, which is again just for demo reasons, verifies if you're a real person, which is interacting with that artificial intelligence at that point. Yeah, that guy that you're seeing in the video is actually me talking real time. Sorry for that, right? But you're gonna see that in this application, I'm actually gonna receive some instructions from the application, right? I'm gonna start it actually. And it's gonna tell me, please look up and down, right? The little cube that you're seeing right here is supposed to be my head, right? Which is, as you can see, it's moving real time with my face. If I'm looking at the right, it's also gonna move in the right? And so on and so forth. So it's basically identifying my moves and replicating my moves so that the artificial intelligence know exactly what I'm doing. And he's gonna basically give me instructions until I finish this entire exercise, right? He's gonna tell me, please look up and down. I'll have to look up and I'll have to look down, right? And then based on that, if I'm looking up and down, you'll see that I'm basically having these movements recognized right here into this little bar, so that I can actually go to the next step, right? So let's try to do it. Let me stop the head again and do it again. Right, I'm going to do this. I'm looking up and down, and it's going to say nodding detected, right? So I've achieved the first step. I'm going to do the same thing left and right? So you'll see that's going to do the same thing, and it's going to say shaking detected, and then it's going to ask me to roll my face left and right. So I'm basically doing a bit of gymnastics right now, as you can see, right? But based on that, and based on these, let's say, instructions that I'm receiving right here from artificial intelligence, this can be a pretty good way for businesses to make sure that whoever is in front of the laptop, it's actually a real person and not some script, not some automation, not some robot, not some anything, right? Which can be pretty useful at a certain point, for example, for banks, to make sure that whoever is creating an online account is actually a real person and not some hacker who's trying to do that in some mischievous ways, right? So what I'm trying to tell you as a conclusion, more or less, is that Microsoft offers you the building blocks, the Legos, if you want to call it like that, right? For cognitive services. Go ahead, yes.
Can you reshare this, please? Some of the participants are not able to see this.
Sorry, say that again.
Can you please reshare the screen? Some of the participants are not able to see.
Sure, no worries. Give me 1 second. Reshared it right now. Should be pretty okay. Let's see if you guys can see it again. Sure is, right? Cool. So as a conclusion, what I'm trying to tell you guys is that Azure, Microsoft gives you the building blocks, the Legos, right? In which you can use those predefined tools and those predefined APIs to do certain things. It's up to you to basically conclude how you integrate them into your businesses or how you integrate them into your use cases, right? Depending on what you're trying to achieve. It's all a matter of mapping what can be used with what you're trying to achieve, and then all that's in between is basically your magic from an architectural perspective on how you want to do it, right? Good. I'm almost in time, and I'm almost finished with it as well. We have 5 more minutes, so I'm going to use this time for questions, right? Q&A session. If you have any questions or any unclarities to what I've been explaining up until now, please do type it in the chat or ask it directly. If not, we're probably going to give all of the participants a break to enjoy lunch.
Hello, Kathleen.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much for the informative session. I have one question regarding the language support, for example, for Arabic.
Yeah.
Is there any limitations? I have been trying to do like some kind of sentiment analysis with other tools on Arabic text, like extracted from Twitter. And I noticed there are like some limitations on that tool. Can you elaborate more on like Azure power when it comes to analyzing Arabic text?
Yeah. So if you remember, I've showed you that from a cognitive service perspective, you have different set of APIs that you can use, right? You can have face API, you can have computer vision, you can have whatever, right? Sentiment analysis is one of those set of APIs as well. And keep in mind that each set of these APIs have different languages support. So don't look at Azure, right, as a whole let's say, as a whole service in terms of language support, because at the end of the day, inside Microsoft, it's happening the following thing. Some team is basically developing sentiment analysis API. Some other team is developing computer vision. Some other team is developing kind of face API and so on and so forth. So there will be different, let's say, languages support for each one of them. Specifically for sentiment analysis, usually, of course, for any one of them, but for sentiment analysis, you can find what languages are supported and with what model, of course, into the official page. Here, it's pretty extensive, more or less. So if you want to do sentiment analysis from an Arabic perspective, right, you can use this language code and basically you can do it Arabic. Now, I know that from an Arabic perspective, you guys have different dialects in different regions and so on and so forth. Probably here, if it's not specified as in any other languages, I'm going to show you a bit what I mean. It's probably going to get the official one, which I think, pardon my ignorance, I think it's the Egyptian one, the official one for you guys, more or less, right? So yeah, in terms of sentiment analysis, probably is going to get this one, and that's what can get achieved. There are some cases though in which, for example, for Portuguese, because the Portugal Portuguese is different from Brazil Portuguese, you're going to get these kind of, let's say, subcategories of languages, like Portugal Portuguese, but for Portugal and Portuguese for Brazil, right? And at a certain point, probably for Arabic, it will be as well, in which you'll have Arabic, but you'll have it for a certain part of course, of a certain region which speaks a certain type of Arabic as well. I think I can show you an example in which that is already happening. I think on the read API. Give me 1 second. Azure read API language support. Just to make you a bit more aware of what I'm talking about, right? So Arabic, no, it's also like this. Sorry for that. Cyrillic. I'm looking at read API because usually read API has a lot of other specific languages. For example, like Icelandic or Hungarian or some other languages that honestly I don't know even where they are spoken, like Greenlandic. Okay, Greenlandic is in Greenland. I get it, but still, right? So yeah, depends on what you're trying to achieve. My advice here is just look at the supported languages. It might be, again, at a certain point, it's not really yet supported yet, or it's supported just in an official version at a certain point, right? But it's a constant development. So I do remember from an AI perspective, especially under Read API, when this list of languages 3 years ago was just, I don't know, 6 or 7 languages. Fast forward to today, we have like, I don't know, 180 languages. So at a certain point, that will be done. It's just a matter of development. So in case your language is not done yet, or your dialect is not yet in this list, it will probably just be a case of waiting until that is really achieved, because the Microsoft guys are constantly working on it to expand that list. Okay. Any other questions? Cool. Then I thank you guys for bearing me 45 minutes. I'm actually 45 minutes tops, right? Thank you once again. There will be other great presentations after the break, I think. So please stay in touch, because my colleagues were probably going to talk to you about OpenAI, as far as I remember, on the agenda, which is also a pretty interesting tool. You're going to see a bit of the magic that you can now do with OpenAI, and you've probably seen the whole ChatGPT stuff and so on and so forth. So that's going to be interesting as well, probably a bit more interesting than what you've seen here with cognitive services. Thank you for that.
All right. So welcome back, guys. So we are now in our final session for building intelligent low-code applications with Microsoft Power Platform. So myself, Ahmed Azair, I'm the community lead here at Power Platform User Group UE. I am I've been working with Power Platform for a couple of years now, and I'm certified as well, as you can see. Um, the first question, we have already seen what some AI applications in the in your industries, but the next question that comes up is why low code? Why low code? So if we talk about low code, so low code, there are several. The low code market has been growing drastically since past few years, and within last few years, it has grown up to 70%, and it is projected to reach $70 billion in couple next years, right? And and from the business perspective, so low code helps businesses go to market in a much more efficient and much more faster manner. So it's quicker time to market and much more efficient solutions. And the best part is the business users themselves are involved in the application development process, which enables the word is citizen development, right? Where the business user themselves are the developers of the solutions, right? So it also encourages fusion teams, which is where citizen developers, which are business users, work work along with the IT teams instead of them providing the requirements to IT team and then leaving it off, right? So now, as a very high level of what is Microsoft Power Platform, so it consists of Microsoft Power BI, which is business analytics, where you can make more informed, confident business decisions by by putting data-driven insights into everyone's hands. Then there's Microsoft Power Apps, where you can turn ideas into organizational solutions by enabling everyone to build custom apps that solve business decisions, business challenges, right? Then the third one is Microsoft Power Automate, where you can create automated workflows, um, and to boost business productivity and get more done, right? And finally, we have Power Virtual Agents, which is a low-code chatbot development tool, where you can easily build chatbots to engage conversationally with your customers and employees without writing any code again, right? And what we are going to look at in detail today, of course, is the AI Builder. But of course, AI Builder, as you can see, it's connected to all of the above. So you can implement AI into Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, virtual agents, all of them, right? So let's start with, let's go deep dive into AI Builder now. So what is it basically? So it is a set of pre-built models which are available out of the box in Microsoft Power Platform. A Power Platform for you to leverage and incorporate AI capabilities within your applications. So again, it's it doesn't require any coding, and no code. You just point and click wizards, and then you just press what you want, and your AI model is trained in the background and built for you, and you can readily utilize that in your applications, right? So, and then if we talk about AI built specifically in Power Apps, as you can see on the screen, there are a couple of AI built capabilities built inside the Canvas apps, which is business card readers, receipt processors, form processors, object detector, text recognizer. So we will be going through each of the models later in the session. Um, then in Power Automate as well, we have a lot of AI built models available out of the box, which is business card reader, category classification, entity extraction, invoice processing, key face extraction, and more. So there are a couple more models which are not listed here in this image, but we will see them later in the session, right? And moreover, now with the latest release, there's GPT also available in Power Virtual Agents. Apart from these, which can be leveraged in Power Virtual Agents as well, we have the GPT model as well, out of the box, which you can utilize and incorporate the Chat GPT functionalities into your Power Virtual Agents chatbots. Right. Again, so the main objective of the platform and with AI is democratizing AI for all. So for citizen developers as well as the IT and admins, right? So be it on your legacy on-premises systems or the cloud apps, you can implement AI everywhere, right? Then so now why Azure AI? Like I think we have already seen in the previous two sessions. So it has gone through decades of breakthrough research, and it is built up on top of Azure AI, that is cognitive services. So you know that it is built on top of a trusted and trained model, right? And of course, it goes through comprehensive compliance and security um, practices. So it can, you know that you're building on the right thing, right? Then of course you have wide range of AI scenarios. I think we have seen this in the previous sessions as well. I'll just quickly go through them. So we have four different sections over here. Documents, where you have form processing, receipt processing, business card readers. So form processing is, let's say, for example, you're receiving a service request form, which is let's say a paper-based service process form. So you can process it through the AI, and which can read through your form with the highlighted fields. Let's say, for example, you have fields for the name, address, and let's say an identification number. So it can actually, no matter uh, who has written that, we can extract information from there, right? And the AI model can actually ingest that information and insert it to your system in an automated manner, right? Similarly, for receipt processing, you have some invoices that come in through in different formats. So you can train your AI model to process all these formats and extract relevant information, right? Then there are business card readers. This is particularly helpful for your sales team, where your sales team goes into the field, into exhibitions where they meet some new prospects, and they can incorporate your the new prospects information directly through a business card reader, instead of entering everything manually. They just scan the business card, their name, their designation, the contact details, all are just read through and directly inserted into your CRM, right? So that is a part of the documents. So from a vision perspective, the object detection and text recognition. So object detection, you have the classification models, like you can classify, okay, this what is this object. So if it's a chair, if it's a stool, if it's a laptop, if it's a mobile, now all that can be done with object detection. Then there's text recognition. So again, you can recognize text. So let's say in a random image, you want to extract some text. So let's say, for example, uh, from a student's perspective, you are you're taking an image of some notes which your teacher has written down or something. When you're taking a picture, you can actually extract the text from inside that image, right? So that is the text recognition part. Then there's production. So it's more like based on a data set. You are predicting if a certain thing is gonna happen or not. So this is particularly useful in cases like where you're, let's say, for example, you are predicting if the user is going to churn, right? So if the user is going to drop off your platform based on certain behavior in the past. So let's say, for example, you're an e-commerce business, right? So the typical behavior, what we have seen in the past is that the users are inactive for a couple of days, and then they do not respond to the marketing emails and stuff for a couple of days, and then they deactivate their account. So let's say just an example, just a hypothetical example. Of course, there is a lot more factors involved. So let's say you have already seen this kind of behavior in quite a few cases earlier, right? So you can know that the fourth user now will probably follow the same pattern. So your AI model can be trained accordingly on all the factors that contribute to this, and it can predict that the next users will be dropping off now, and it can actually even before they drop off, it can warn you that this user might churn, so you might need to take some steps to retain those users, right? I hope that makes sense. Then finally, we have on language side, we have category classifications, entity extraction, key phrase extraction. Um, so this is all related to, let's say, for example, you're chatting with a chatbot, right? So let's say you are chatting with a yeah, with a store, let's say a brick and mortar store, let's say a bookstore. Um, yeah. So you are looking for some the store timing. So that can be one category. Okay. So it will be categorized as, okay, this user is gonna ask for store timing. So anything and everything related to store timings will be thing. So and those categories will be captured. Okay. Entity extraction. So let's say, for example, what time is your store open on Fridays? So you have that entity. So you're asking for the time and on Friday. So you got those two entities. So you will your chatbot, you can define your chatbot to answer in a particular way. So let's say the store is open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Fridays, right? And similarly, key phrase extraction as well. So you have some key phrases defined. Let's say you're an e-commerce. Um, you are looking for returning an item. So how do I return an item? So return an item is a key phrase or technically over there, and you can show the user the return policy or redirect them to a link which shows a return policy, right? Then the next one is language direction. So you can direct the language of the user, and you can respond accordingly. Then the sentiment analysis is pretty simple. So you can analyze the sentiments of the way in which the user is responding and respond appropriately as well. I think we lately with Bing, with how we have come across with ChatGPT, and like my friend just showed that to me. Like Bing response, the new ChatGPT model responds to questions, and it does sentiment analysis and responds accordingly as well. It can identify if you're being uh, like according to the ChatGPT mean or rude, and it can actually respond to you accordingly, right? And then finally we have translation services, where it can translate your sentences into another language and then provide you responses accordingly, right? So these are all the most of the AI scenarios that are built in. So of course, AI builder can work with structured and unstructured data. So you can build your, and you can also use the pre-built models or train your own custom AI models, which we will see in the later part of this session, right? So first, let's come to the part where what is the difference between custom and pre-built model, right? So in a custom model, you choose a model type, and then you train your own you train the AI build a model based on your requirements. Let's say, for example, I'm choosing that it's supposed to be a, okay, the application, let's say, is I want to identify the Emirates ID of the identify the information from Emirates ID, right? And now it will be a text extraction model, right? So it's going to be a vision model where we are going to extract some text, which is the ID number, the nationality, the name, right? But I will be now because of course, AI, the pre-built model doesn't know what an Emirates ID is, so I need to train it on on the images that I provide, right? So what I will be doing is I will be training choosing the model, that is the text extraction one. I will be training it on the documents which I provide, and once I upload the documents, it will ask me to highlight what fields correspond to which item, right? And then once it is trained, which doesn't take more than a couple of minutes, it's ready to use in your applications. And then when I build an application and I try to scan something, it will actually provide me a proper answer with the extracted data, right? So that's for the custom AI models for you. Pre-built AI models are the ones which are already present. Let's say, for example, a typical form processing model already has a couple of fields built into it, right? So if you have a typical receipt format or a form format, it will actually, without even training any your own custom model, it will extract the relevant information with highest accuracy, right? So with custom models, you can have prediction, form processing, object detection, entity extraction, and category classification as well. And with pre-built models, you have business card readers. Like I mentioned, you can pull contact information from business cards and import it into your CRM. Text recognition, where you can extract a printed and handwritten text. And sentiment analysis, where you can detect positive, negative, and neutral and mixed sentiment in social media, customer reviews, or any text data. Then entity extraction, extract entities and their types from text. You can extract key phrases, main points, and key phrases in documents. Receipt processing, you can save time on your expenses, extract and save, release receipt data automatically. Then language detection to identify the predominant language of a document. And finally, translation. And you to translate your text into more than 60 languages. I think it's much more than that now. Like I think like Kathleen mentioned, it's 180 for a couple of things. So I think I'm going to leave this one. So we will be going forward with a demo now. Um, do we have any questions till now? You can enter your questions on chat if you have. I will be sharing my screen again for the demo. I believe we are good. Okay. Wait. Okay. Um, I'll just proceed with the demo. Let me know when you can see my screen. So we'll start with the Power Apps Maker Studio, which is make.powerapps.com. So what we are going to do is we now, like I mentioned, so within we'll just go through all the AI builder models, and then we'll try to train a custom model within 15 minutes. We will be creating a custom model, training it, and also building an app out of it, right? So uh, 15 minutes start after this loads. So let's wait for it to load. Mm. All right, so let's say we have this here. So the navigation has changed quite a lot now. So we will be going into more and we'll be searching for AI models. I'm gonna pin it over here. So over here, you will be able to see all the models that we have available over here. So let's say if I go to new AI model, you will see that we have all these pre-built models available with us. So we can extract information from invoices, we can extract all the text and photos and PDF documents, extract information from receipts, information from identity documents, information from business cards, customer information from documents, and then we can detect positive, negative from the sentiment analysis, customer feedback into predefined categories, key elements from text, classify them into predefined categories, extract most relevant information and words and phrases from text, predominant language of a text document, classify text into custom tag categories, and finally, extract custom entities from your text, right? So in case this serves a purpose, of course, well and good. Otherwise, you can always create a custom document as well, right? So if you want category wise, you have these over here as well, right? So what we'll be doing is let's try to build an AI model. Okay, so for now we will be doing extracting information from identity documents, right? So we have a couple of them over here, right? So which is like it's predefined to passport and all that stuff, but we are gonna upload a new ones from here. So we're going in a different things. Yes. Oops, I think I lost that folder. Bear with me, please. Okay, no problem. What we'll do is we just download some sample from this thing. Let's say we will get this guy, save the image, this thing, EID one, then let's say this one, EID sample two. Right, and say this one as EIP sample three. Right, so we have three samples over here. We will be going to Android. So we'll be uploading these three models. So as you can see, when we tried with the pre-built model, as you can see, the pre-built model, we can train a custom document processing model. Okay, so since it couldn't do work with the pre-built model, we'll be building a a custom model now. Okay, so let's say now we'll go ahead over here. So we are in the custom model. So as you can see, it's a custom model now. We'll get started. So it will now ask us to upload the samples, at least 5 samples. So as you can see over here, you can see some samples and stuff. But what we'll do is, so we need technically 3 fields, right? So which will be our name, ID number. So we'll call it ID number. Okay, and then name. But I'll call it full name. And then I'll call it nationality. All right. So we have these. Now we'll create a new collection, which is, now we need to add at least 5 documents, right? Although we have only got 3 till now, we'll get 2 more. We have uploaded these. Let's upload these. We will, let's say, get this one as well. This is quite blurry, I think. Let's try to upload this one. EID sample 4. And let's take another one where we have, this seems like a legit one though. Let's take it EID sample, right? So we have 5 of them over here. We cannot proceed because it requires at least 5 sample documents, right? So we will be adding more documents over here. We'll add sample 4 and 5 as well. Okay, so now we have uploaded these as well. Okay, so one more interesting thing is, if you try to upload the same one again, it won't let you. Yeah, so it says it's already uploaded, right? So it won't let you. So you have to enter. You have to make sure that you enter unique documents. Okay, so let's go next. Let's now, for each of these samples which we have uploaded, we need to identify where are all these 3 fields. Okay, so as you can see, it has already identified all the text, right? So I just need to point out which one corresponds to which. Okay, so let's say this value, it has already identified that corresponds to ID number, right? This value. Now technically we need all 3 of them, right? So we can drag and select all 3 of them. Okay, I can also select only one of them, but in this case, if you want to do, let's say, first name, second name, last name, then you can do it that way separately. But in this case, we would like it to be full name, so we will ask that. As you can see, it has also identified Arabic text. So let's say you wanted name in English, that can be one field. Name in Arabic can be another field, right? So we can do that as well. Again, over here, United Arab Emirates, so we will be taking in nationality. All right. So in each of these, so this one is already saved now. So it has identified all 3 fields. Now next one, this one will be ID number. This one will be full name. This one will be, oops, sorry. Make sure you're tagging it properly, because as you know, AI is what you train it on, train the data which you're training it on. if you're training it in on the wrong data, it'll answer things wrongly, so which we don't want. ID number. Now in this case, it's a problem because we do not have the nationality, right? So we won't be able to proceed without putting everything. So we will have to get another sample for this, right? So as you can see, we cannot continue without tagging all of them. So in this case, we will have to remove this sample. So we will be getting another sample from here. Let's try to get, let's try to get this. Okay. So say a sample 6. All right. So in this case, what we'll do is we'll go back. We'll go into the collection. We will remove the sample for. You can remove it, so you can view it. Okay, so this is the one. We can delete this item, right? Or you can keep that also, but you won't be able to train it on that, right? Because we don't have all the information over there. So we can we'll add the next item, which is this. We'll upload it. So we need to make sure that all the data which we are training it on has all the information that we require. Right? So now ID number, we need this, full name, and we need the nationality. Once we have that, now our model summary is ready. So we have it's a document processing model. We have one collection, we have 5 documents, and these are the fields. Okay, so we'll go into training. So it will just take a few minutes to process it. Okay, so we will be waiting for it to be processed, and yeah, we are ready. So as you can see, it's training right now. Once it is trained, very important point after that is that you publish it. So until and unless you publish a model, it won't be available for you to utilize in your applications or automations, right? So once the training is completed, again, which will take a couple of minutes, we should publish it, and then it'll be available in our apps, right? So we'll just quickly wait for it to finish. Till then, I'll just keep the window ready for automate. So, meanwhile, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. All right, as you can see, the the model has been trained, right? So we can go inside this and we can see. So right now accuracy score is 79%, which is I mean for just 5 documents, I think it's pretty okay. And you can see for each field what is the accuracy that we have got, right? So and see it isn't published yet, so you cannot use it. So we can do a quick test over here with another sample. So we can probably get another sample to test it. So let's say, for example, we'll we'll get this one. Okay, we'll get this one. EID test, right? So we can run a quick test on this one, and we can see how well it. So as you can see, it has identified all 3 fields properly. right? 784198652064740, even though it was a bit blurred, right? The name as well, Ahmad Abdullah Ahmad Jabir Al Marzuki, which is accurate, and United Arab Emirates as well, right? So how it just took us 5 minutes to train a custom model, and only 5 documents for that, and with proper accuracy, right? Although it says 52%, we can of course improve that with more and more documents in place, but it has identified the thing exactly, right? So we can close it, we can publish the model for us to utilize that inside an app and Power Automate. So it will publish the model now, and we will see how we can use it in the Power Automate and workflow and our app. All right, so it's ready now. So you can use the model. So you can use it in Power Apps or Power Automate, right? So what we'll do is quickly, I'm just going to duplicate this tab. Okay, just going to duplicate this tab. So you can either just go from here itself. Let's say go. It will just open a new app for you, or you can go from here, go home, click apps. You can create a new Canvas app, and then you utilize it over there, right? So as you can see, yeah, that's fine. So it has added the new model over here, right? So what you can do is, if you want to do that, so you can put the form processor model over here, as you can see, right? AI model is something which you define. So we have created this model, and you can uh, reference that, or if you had some other models also trained, you could have referenced that too, right? So if you want to create a new model, you can click on add model, new model, and it will come back, like you will be redirected to the screen again. Okay, so what we can do is maybe what we can do is either we can upload. Now we have it in this app. Okay, we can upload this image again over here, and you can see it has identified those fields again, right? So now it's a part of the app. So now this app is ready for you to be used inside an organization. It can be anything. Now, of course, I don't think we have much time to customize it properly, but yeah, it's already a part of this thing. Similarly, you can, if I go back here also, I can just click on this. So now you can create a flow with any of these starting options, like from Microsoft 365 Word work account, SharePoint library. So these can be, any of these can be a trigger, or you can define your own trigger as well, right? So for now, we will just probably I'll just start from here as a new blank flow. Okay, so I'll create a new flow. Let's say an instant cloud flow. Skip. So our trigger will be like a button click only. Right. So let's make a, let's say, manually triggering a flow for now. And let's say AI builder, right? So ours is the classified text into categories, right? So it will sign in and create a connection. And you can select the models once again. Oops, I think I selected the wrong one, sorry. And need document processing one. Mm, yep, this. Oops, it's not showing. Sorry, 1 minute. It's not showing our model. And that's our. Okay, 1 second, sorry. Supposed to be on this one, but wait a minute. Okay, for some reason it's not showing those the AI model over here. Hmm. Let's say if we like this one. And then okay, so there's some problem. It's not showing the item over here. Never mind. It's okay. In the apps, it's available. But yeah, similarly, what you see over here, it will be available in this part as well, where you can, or I'll just show you this flow, where you can extract the information, and once you've got the information, you can show that information over here. Let's say the output you can be shared on the email and stuff like that. So like this, you can put it on the total as a total value and with the confidence as well. Okay, so in our case, it will be ID number or nationality or full name, right? So those will be the kind of fields which we will have. All right, so I think that's pretty much it from my side. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put it up in the chat. So we'll just
Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us and thank you Ahmed for such a great opportunity. And I'd like to welcome everybody to our session on OpenAI. If anybody can just give me a double check that am I audible and can you guys able to hear me?
yes, you are, and we can see the screen. Yeah.
So congratulations on arranging amazing session. We always love our global AI community bootcamp, and it's a legacy of UAE that we arrange this bootcamp every year. You might be a little surprised to know that me and Awais have started this thing long back. The first AI, globally first AI bootcamp we have hosted in Dubai, and I'm very happy that you guys are continuing the legacy and doing an amazing job. And what a session you have delivered. So first of all, thank you for the great opportunity and amazing arrangements. Let's continue. Pile on that. Everybody want a piece of this, and everybody want a discussion about it. OpenAI isn't a buzzword in our industry. Every company, every tech companies want some piece of it, but everybody wants to know. Everybody claim they have, nobody have it, and everybody want to know what it is. So today we're going to take you a quick short journey into what is OpenAI, what is Azure OpenAI, and how you can take advantage of it. So let's get started. So my name is Osama Wahab Khan. I am Microsoft's most valuable professional and certified technologist, working in MEA region for the last 11 years, and currently working as a Chief Technology Officer at Evolution Technologies. We are Microsoft partner, and we build AI solutions and machine learning solutions, and we expertise in the area of data engineering and data science. A published author of 3 known books, big time community guy. I have received almost 74 awards, and most of my awards come through my community contributions. So the first UAE MVP, and currently UAE MVP for Azure at the moment. I love to get connected with everyone. So whosoever attending this session or watching this video, I request them to please have a conversation over Twitter and support our community physically in Dubai, and also be a part of our newly created user group that called Power Platform User Group for Dubai or UAE. Please join us in our regular events. And Ahmad is leading this user group, and he's a very enthusiastic person when it comes with Power Platform and has amazing knowledge. So yeah, and that's how I look like. And I'm a father of two beautiful daughters. I have a photograph one. That's the elder one. She's now 5, and she's turned out 5, and her name is Manha. Went to MIT, so based in Dubai. So if you want to have a coffee, just stop by the Burj Khalifa. Okay, guys. So before I begin, let me give you a little synopsis of my session out there. Recently, OpenAI and AI research companies has published a chatbots, and the one that becomes super popular is a Chat GPT. And image generation applications, also known as DALL-E, so people pronounces DALL-E or DALL-E, whatsoever the way you want to pronounce it. It's basically displayed AI capabilities that can show you that what imagination can do. That's what literally generative AI is. Beyond imagination, some people have said this. And these technologies are built within AI models, which take almost any kind of natural input and return that one in a response like humans. So it's like a human interactive model. So I call it human impersonation model, which means that they act like that, that they respond like that, they create a conversation like that, that feels like it's very humanly. It's not very robotic. That's a big difference out there. And it's based on big, large machine learning models, which basically trained on billions of data points. The recent ChatGPT 5 that I'm about to announce next week going to use 39 trillion data points. 39 trillion data points. That required a massive data engineering and data science skill to optimize and tune that particular data points to generate our most valuable and most correct answers to our questions. So these human-like responses become so popular out there. You share with your team that OpenAI enable user to build enterprise-grade solutions. But what is the enterprise solution is, and how we can work in this areas as well. So OpenAI models is provide you a different level of capabilities. But where this Open API or OpenAI is based, sorry, as I keep saying Open API, where this OpenAI is standing in a stack of the world of artificial intelligence or AI, because AI is a buzzword in our industry from last almost a whole decade out there. And we have seen the automate machine learning, customized development of models out there. We see the pre-built models, like we have seen the ready-made no-code based AI models where you can build your own model without writing code. That called a citizen data scientist concept. And in a concept of citizen data scientist and many other segments, can really participate in it. So OpenAI make AI model available to developer so they can build a powerful applications like ChatGPT. But OpenAI, it's tending, it's basically an extension of a deep learning. If you see the larger Uber, if you see the larger, bigger picture out there, so the larger Uber of that is artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence interact or indicate the human behavior by relying on a machine learned and execute task based on the given data sets or given learning experience they have and explicit directions what the output need to be done. Machine learning, it's an extension of artificial intelligence. And where you train models, where the models take into the data, take the data in like weather conditions, and they fit the data into the algorithm and make it a predictable, the new coming data. So that, for example, how much money you're going to make on a shiny day. So these kind of things that you can help with the machine learning. So machine learning, take the data, find the algorithm to solve the problem, and what kind of analytics that you want to do, prescriptive, predictive analytics that normally you perform in the area of machine learning. It provides you the different techniques of regression, clustering, and many other segments of machine learning design you can do out there. Machine learning, it's the way that you optimize the data points by using algorithms and hyperparameters in order to train the model that can predict the new coming labels. Another extended form, another branch of machine learning, which basically deals with the layer-based algorithms in the form of artificial neural networks, like human brains, like that one out there, and return the results in the most complex user scenarios out there, the most complex use cases. And there's a huge difference between machine learning in general aspect and also when it comes for natural application development as well, and natural machine learning model and deep learning. Deep learning, it's a type, it's basically a deep learning is a type of machine learning technique. That technique that basically teach computer to do what comes natural to humans. For example, deep learning is a key technology behind driverless cars, enabling a recognition app or recognition signs out there, image processing systems, and much more than that. So machine learning, it's a very big Uber that solves so many level of problems, clustering, analytics, even statistics that can combine out there. Deep learning is an extended form of machine learning. It's a subset of machine learning that really use a neural networks out there, like brain basically built networks out there, which basically 3 or more layers normally developed out there. And these neural network attempt to simulate the behavior of human brain. And they have a capability to match the capabilities. They allow you to learn and the large amount of data to be processed in these neural networks and in a single layer, which basically help you to predict as a hidden layer and provide you more better understanding, classification, and different kind of regressions. Machine learning and deep learning models are capable of a different type of learning what they can do. And based on their learning, they can able to produce different results. Another advanced and a classified format or of deep learning is generative AI, which basically this OpenAI is the whole thing all about. So generative AI, it's an extension, it's a subset of deep learning. If it's a subset of even a deep learning, and AI models in deep learnings that can produce a new content based on what is described in an input. They call a prompt engineering. We can talk about that in detail, and I'll explain you what. So OpenAI, it's majorly focusing on generative AI, the modules that are subset of machine learning that can produce new content based on a described inputs. And the AI models are the collection of a generative AI that can help you to produce a content from scratch by giving basic instruction to use a completion of whole task for language, code, and images. Which means as a human, as an application, I can give the input. Create my article for OpenAI, and the rest will be done by the OpenAI. So why Azure? Second question that comes up in our mind, that why we use Azure in this whole paradigm out there. Azure is not new to AI. Azure is a favorite destination to many other platforms out there. So first of all, you want to go for Azure because you want to build responsible AI. You want to build enterprise-grade infrastructure for your applications. You want to host your application in a most automated and customized way, where you can combine different kind of analytics, different kind of AI capabilities. Where you need to have a custom model, you can train by using Azure machine learning models, Azure machine learning workspaces. Where you need to use a pre-built AI like OpenAI, you can use them. You can also use Azure cognitive services that Microsoft built machine learning models with the simplification in mind as well. That can be very simple to use in an API. AI engineers can just embed that in their application. Built-in features for responsibility. AI responsibility or AI responsible AI is super important thing. It should not be a racial bias. It should not be a gender bias. It should not be unethical out there. So how we can control those things? It's very difficult to things out there. And the biggest discussion in the market at this moment, it's all about how responsible is ChatGPT. What if that's something wrong? What if say something racist? What if say something biased based on this given data? Microsoft has developed a very large module for that one as well, great framework for that one as well, and take care of this particular segment that enterprise application developers or data scientists or data engineers don't have to spend a huge time to basically build those things. They can use the pre-built resources, and they get the guidelines by using Microsoft technologies in order to get inbuilt responsibility out there, so inbuilt interpretability, so they can build ethical AI. On top of that, you need an enterprise grade security. You want this newly trained model to be available for your business for private access, not for global access all the time. Enterprises need, and they are very sensitive about data and compliance, how data is being used, how data is being in trained, where data has been residing, how data is traveling, what security control in place. And there's hundreds of compliance that jumps in. And Microsoft is a most compliant cloud-based AI solution provider on planet Earth. There's no other one that who have supported a more number of compliance and has a large scale implementation options, even more than AWS. If we take a look for Microsoft portfolio for AI, so they have a lots of citizen development going on. So now if you see the application layer where Microsoft has leveraged AI extensively, and they keep extending out there. From M365, we just have witnessed that every single application is now getting the AI pieces out there. We are seeing that how the intelligence bots and interactions coming to Dynamics. We have seen the Edge and Bing working together to provide an intelligence chat-based search in Windows, and also desktop will see lots of AI capabilities. Also, for everybody cannot code. We need lots of developers. We need lots of AI. We need to empower end users, and everyone, they can take an advantage of a pre-built models, and they can train those models in order to implement the AI or solve the AI related problems. So we have just seen in our previous demo that how we can use a Power Platform in order to build and train our custom models, and how we can train them, how we can optimize them. In the same fashion, we can also, so Microsoft have a great length of a Power Platform, which offer phenomenal AI capabilities. AI Builder is a great example, which is deeply integrated with Azure behind the scenes and using bot services, Azure cognitive services, form recognition, video indexers, metric analyzer, impressive readers, and more. So Azure Applied AI has lots of services available for you. You can use these pre-built cognitive services or pre-built applied AI services directly use in your custom application or in your Power Platform, which basically technically based on Microsoft Cognitive Services, where the OpenAI going to be relied, where I'm going to be laid down out there. So when you talk about Microsoft Cognitive Services, you talk about the vision, speech, language, and deduction. And Microsoft has built hundreds of pre-built ready AI models, including OpenAI service. In the end, you can see the ML model, where you need to build something from scratch. OpenAI use Microsoft Azure machine learning workspaces and Azure machine learning infrastructure in order to build OpenAI. They are totally based on OpenAI. So OpenAI is totally based on Azure. So Azure is in a great place to host your AI workload because Microsoft is using a scratch to bottom out there. So top to bottom is Microsoft is implementing, and you have every form and every character of AI available, best suited to your needs. It depends where you want to use the AI. So if you talk about it, that how much people trust, why Azure the best place? So 5 out of 50, sorry, 50 out of 500, 50 out of 500, and 5 out of 50. 5 out of 50 top supercomputer, top super machine learning computers, to be clear here, two machine learning computers worldwide is running on Azure with NVIDIA A100 GPUs. And they are more green, and they are powering a lot. And OpenAI GPT also use Azure as an supercomputer cluster for training their models. Microsoft love OpenAI. And why Microsoft love OpenAI? Because you can utilize Microsoft infrastructure, including security, compliance, and availability. And you can deploy OpenAI capability across Microsoft products and beyond and embed that one in your application. So you can leverage both segments as well. So Microsoft not only adding value to OpenAI, but help you to extend the capabilities as well. And Microsoft has invested in OpenAI way before than anybody else. Jump in. And the new partnership that announced between Microsoft and OpenAI, which basically gives birth to Azure OpenAI service. Azure OpenAI service, it's a REST-based API, access to OpenAI powerful language models. These language models help you to use the capabilities of OpenAI capabilities and allow you to use all of Microsoft workloads and all other OpenAI workloads to work together. So what OpenAI offer to Azure users? What Azure users can really use within an OpenAI capability? First of all, they get the pre-trained models for AI, large application language models. They have a capability to customize, the ability to fine-tune. You can give your own data and fine-tune to your work needs. Fine-tune for your given data sets and privately, not publicly. And you have a compliance in mind, you have a security in mind, you have a built-in tools and easy way to interacting applications. OpenAI can be used in Azure. You can use OpenAI in Azure for several. Number one, for natural language processing. So text completion or embedding. Embedding is a concept where you basically search, classify, or compare text. And generation of a text, like generating articles or any kind of summarization, it's talk about that generative AI. You can also using for code generation, which is becomes very popular now. So you can just generate code, add it, or explain, or basically find best practices against the code that you write out there. Generating images, editing images, that what you can do with these given tools out there. Azure AI services and are the tools to solve AI workloads, and they can categorize into machine learning platform, cognitive services, and OpenAI and applied AI. And cognitive services is merging with OpenAI. That's why you're getting most of the service there. OpenAI technically offer you 3 different models. OpenAI technically offer you 3 different models out there. And these models are basically intended to image generations, embedding and searching, and text completion. Yeah, that's it. And before we're going to jump in what type of OpenAI, just slightly take a look of Microsoft journey of OpenAI. Microsoft started investing in strategic partnership in 2019. Then in ChatGPT 3 and OpenAI announcement for the API. Then Dell API model was announced in 2021. And then the ChatGPT extensions for Azure Functions and Power BI showcased in May 2021 and internally. And then it will be available for Microsoft use the OpenAI model that basically we call Codex. So Microsoft implement the Codex into GitHub and implement something where we called it Copilot in 2021 June. And Copilot is a way that is an extension available in a VS Code. It's interaction within our GitHub that allow you to generate the code. You can just give the basic instruction and code will be generated very simply. So it helps you to work as a code developer. So it's like a pair programming with a bot, which really amazed the world. And then 2021 August is Microsoft make this module available with an OpenAI that for the other customers, so people can use this model to train their own code bases and let them generate a piece of code the one they want. Technically, what we can do with OpenAI, we can, and especially if we talk about the OpenAI, the code base or the codex out there. So we can do a grammar corrections, Q&A. It is not nothing new, but it is more humanly and more advanced than ever before. Summarizing a second graders, so summarizing for second graders, whole translation, whole summaries can be generated out there. Text commands out there, so you can just pass the command and you can mix the Microsoft speech learning libraries and send those commands back to OpenAI to get those prompts back and process it further. You can translate languages, you can translate code as well. You can natural language use to build as APIs as well. You can do a classification and categorization. You can prepare and implement a data processing in future by using OpenAI. So that's kind of thing that OpenAI can really do at the moment, just for an idea. How to get started with an OpenAI in Azure? That's always a big question that comes to me. Everybody asks me this, Rama, how we can start it, and I'm speechless on this point. No, it's not that. So OpenAI, as I say that, you can use OpenAI. But the first thing with an OpenAI that you need to apply. So I have put this link. So OpenAI is available in Azure subscription, and there's available different KPIs and different capability and different models in different regions. So first of all, it's not available in every single regions, and these regions are currently limited. Access to the OpenAI is currently limited. If you want to access ChatGPT or Delve models out there, you have to basically fill this form. Or you have to basically send them an email as well. You can use these email addresses. So you have to provide them your name, your last name, your subscription ID, where you want to activate the Azure subscription. And here you have to put your company email address, your company name, address, cities, and there's more details out there. And then you have to tell that which you belong, like MVP and what size of company. And then there's a text information in the bottom out there. Where it is here. Hold on a second. But you have to describe that what you want to use, what particular tool you want to use out there. Microsoft trying to get on board lots of people that allow them, and you can also talk to Microsoft community partners and Microsoft channel partners in order to get the earlier access to the service. But currently, the service is not open for everyone. If you go on Azure portal and try to create a service, I'm sorry, you could not able to get it. The reason is that you're not able to get it in a cloud because it taking time. It takes a little time to basically create those resources. And let me quickly show you. Once you fill that form, Microsoft's either approve or rejected. And my recent subscription, which I get approved, is being expired. That's the sad thing. I have to go through over again. And so first, I'll fill that form. Once I'm able to fill that form, and then Microsoft has built something that we call OpenAI Studio. So it's called oai.azure.com. So we have to basically go oai.azure.com, which is basically this one, and you basically land up on this. So you have a text summary, classification, natural language to SQL, generation options as well. And here you have some prompt options available for you. You can select the specific option. You can just try the playground. There will be another prompt available to you that called try OpenGPT or ChatGPT 3, and where you basically can start implementing your machine learning models. Here you can select which particular deployment you want to use. DaVinci is the best model that's available. I'll talk about these in a minute. And then you can start using the tokens and start passing the tokens and see the different probabilities and do some optimization. So you can try the text summary, for example, by selecting a specific models. And Microsoft has hundreds of examples available to you guys, and everybody can use samples that how the completion can work and how the classification can work, how the prompt engineering can work as well behind the scenes. And they have a pretty nice, decent applications available here that you can really use and test in your applications. Second, if you come back to the resource, and you have to enable security default, and then it will take you to a portal, and here you can basically, it asks you to create a Azure resource. It's a cognitive services, the part of Azure cognitive services, so it will ask you to create a resource. And if you already approved by Microsoft, only then you can create these resources. And only then you can create these resources. And after that, you can able to use OpenAI in your own projects. Okay, you get an API key. It's a REST API. You can use that on a playground. But So this is basically simple prompt here. You just provide the resource name, and here you have to select the pricing tier. The pricing tier is not displayed here. Reason because my subscription is not approved for this. This one is not approved for this. I have another one actually that approved, but that get disabled. So you can create an API. So it offered 3 different models. So if it offers 3 different models, so OpenAPI have so many models actually, not 3, and these models are used to provide different capabilities. Okay, and ChatGPT 3 models is, if you talk about OpenAI is available, so the ChatGPT 3, the generation model, and then we have also another model available for us that called Codex and Delph. What are these 3 models, and why we use these 3 models, and what the difference between them? So let's learn about them, and what are these 3 models and what's the difference between them. So first of all, we have to learn about the concept of token, and we have to learn the concept of a context engineering. What is a prompt engineering? But before we go into it, let's talk about it. What 3 models OpenAI really support today? So when you talk about the OpenAI models, so OpenAI offer 3 different models. So you can use 3 different models, and each model offer different capabilities. They are 3 large trained models. Each one of them has been trained on a huge amount of data. Number one, A series models, so GPT-3 models, are basically help you to understand natural language. They help you to understand the capability of natural language generation as well. So GPT-3 or GPT-3 Turbo, that called GPT-3 35, and these language models are designed for conversational interface and model behavior, and it is basically different from a ChatGPT models as well. So they can do a text in, text out, and which means that they can accept a prompt of a string, and they can return a complete sentence or completion of task as well, and it can append on the current context. So ChatGPT model is a conversational in and message out, and the model expect the prompt string to be formatted in a specific chat descriptions out there. Okay. Second model, if we talk about it, that's another important subject. It's Codex. My favorite one is a Codex. I believe that ChatGPT has becomes the most popular, but we'll see more application into the Codex. Codex is a series of model that can basically help you to understand that how you can train or how you can generate a code from natural languages or code from HIT as well. So Codex is a model which basically the models are basically based on ChatGPT-3, and this model help you to generate code or understand code, the programming languages like Python, Java, C#, Go, Perl, Ruby, SQL, TypeScript, Swift, and more. And these modules, these particular capabilities help you to generate things. And if you guys have ever seen the GitHub Copilot, it's basically using Codex. And Codex is also comes with a similar capabilities of ChatGPT. And there's another extended model available for Codex or the capabilities out there that called DaVinci. DaVinci is the most capable Codex model that can perform any task that other model can, and also it has a less instruction requirement. It can take a less inputs. For application recurring depending on the understanding of the content, DaVinci produce the best results. The greater capability required are more compute resources, and DaVinci cost more, and it's not as fast than other models out there. It's slower, but it's more accurate. You also have another model that called Chessman or Chessman out there. Chessman, it's a powerful model. It's very fast to generating code and completing tasks, and there are different level of classification available. Then we have embedding. What is embedding? Embedding, it's another type of module that offered by OpenAI. It's another type of series of model that OpenAI offered. A set of models that can understand and use embedding out there. Embedding is a special format that represent our data and that can easily understand or utilize a machine learning model and algorithms. Embedding is basically dense representation of semantic meaning of any piece or text out there. It used for search. It used for text analysis out there. It used for code search. So literally it can be used for so many different purposes in this particular segment. So embedding is used for finding similarities in a text. Embedding can offer you a text search, code search, and there are different automation models are available for that. It's like means there's other models that ChatGPT offer. It's an extension of embedding models. So mostly that thing that we use in embedded model, we now normally try to use ADA, or people call it. ADA is a useful and fast module that can perform like a text parsing or address correction, and that contain any kind of a classification of a text out there. All those can be done in ADA. So you can use ADA model, and with the text analysis. So you can use ADA 0.24 dimensions. You can use Babbage, you can use out there. You can use a Curie, you can use DaVinci. All those models are available for embedding services as well. Okay, and these services majorly use for text search, similarity embedment, or code search. So these are the things that you can do with these pre-built models. So text, code, and search. Now slightly talk about what is this prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is a type of AI capabilities in a so that basically take a human input, or they take on a basically description about the task, and it take a series of input, and this input is basically sent to the large language modules, and these language modules understand the previous context and the previous inputs and previous outputs and complete the output against it. So if I say hello, I need to write a code for, I need to write to a function in Python. So it will basically take this input, and based on the given instructions, it will going to process that. It will going to use that one as well. I mean, use means it going to improve that. It's going to improve that. It's going to just use that particular input, and it's going to generate a model based on it. So prompt engineering is basically a technique of artificial intelligence. Prompt engineering is the practice of using prompt to get an output that you want. Prompt is a sentence of a text, like a sentence of a block of code, or sentence of any English or any language syntax out there. And these particular statements, these particular sentences can be used to use as an instruction in a prompt, which basically going to complete the task and result you back. In order to get the most refined output, in order to get the most refined output, you will basically try to give them more instructions. You try to provide them a more information out there. For example, you might want to write a Python program, add 2 numbers. Okay, and you write this particular text. Write a function, add 2 numbers, and return the results. And it automatically write this particular function for you. I just write this, and it's going to basically use this model and generate that code. So what it's going to do, it basically going to take an input, and based on my given module, based on my given instructions, based on my hyperparameterization, it basically going to return me the results out there. So there are 2 things involved. One's the instruction and one in a training. So this is one example. This is one like example that you can see here. This is a concept where basically I'm asking to erase to data from the scikit-learn data sets and the plot down on a training data. It do a complete code for me. So how it works technically. So you see that the contest. So it provide the high level task description and high level contest, like input and then the second output. And it might be it's still conversation going on with an AI model out there. And then this AI model going to use this task and perform the configuration, perform their actions and return it out there. And it keep this particular session buffer out there. And it keeps telling me the completion of task as well. So keep both things in mind. And then it return me the results as well. It return me the most optimized results. I can guide model with a high level contextual information. I can guide them which particular library need to be used. I can tell them what specific function that I want. The more better the function I will provide or instructions, I will able to get a more better results. That's a one simple example of a code generation. Okay, which basic, and in a world of ChatGPT open models out there, and we can use this large language models to automate this particular task as well. And we can also use this model to fine optimize out there. We can do a fine tuning within our own data, with our own language processing out there, with our own functions to be developed, our own our own compliance to be implemented, and it can improve us on a concept of a software development as well. It's going to reface that how we imagine a software development today. And there's some great examples that you guys can see. If you want to use a if you want to use a ChatGPT, if you want to use an OpenAI model in your software, if you want to use in a Python notebook, so I have this created one simple example here of a simple prompt. So it's just, you import an OpenAI model here. You can just define a type Azure, define an address for this particular address you will get when you create a resource. And here the version of AI. And here you define the key. You will get this key from the OpenAI once you create a resource there. So you have a key segment. You can get the key and put it here. You can use a key vault as well. And then you define which particular model you want to use. We are using here ChatGPT Turbo, and here we are defining the prompt, and where we basically passing our conversation, our instructions are there, and here are some other token information. So when we just talk about the concept here, so of prompt engineering. So prompt engineering basically take a couple of things into account. So prompt engineering is basically take tokens, that input text that basically provide, and the processing as well. So its prompt is basically the input, and the tokens the individual information that we pass into it out there. So we provide them different tokens that they can use this particular token to parse and understand as instructions and return us the complete results. So these are some fundamentals of our concept out there. So prompt and completions, and tokens are the inputs that you provide out there. So tokens are the chunk of words out there, and that will be basically used as an initials, or might be completion of task as well. So you can just say hello or bye, or you can just type by. It can just use as the token out there, and you can define that maximum number of tokens that you want to use. Here, you're defining some other variables for your OpenAI model completions that you have trained it, that you have optimized it, and then you can just implement it here. So there are tons of examples and use cases are available for Delhi or OpenAI code bases as well, and OpenAI Codex or ChatGPT. All these models are available. ChatGPT and OpenAI models are by default available in Azure, but when it comes for Delhi, it will be available soon, but it's available only for preview for certain people at the moment at Microsoft, but user cannot use it at this stage in Azure. If we try to quickly continue and wrap it up towards some of the examples that Microsoft has extensively used this application. Number one, if you guys can see here, the Microsoft do offer a content filtering and using these capabilities inside their own model. So OpenAI Codex model has been implemented by using Copilot. So Copilot service is based on Codex in OpenAI, which help you to generate code in VS Code, and it's a private code that you can see, and it's generated based on the learning that it's done from GitHub. It helps you to generate code and provide suggestions and improvements. You recently have seen the Power BI. So Power BI, and also you have seen, now you will able to see something that where you can type your task and it will go and train a complete model for you. So the task that our friend Ahmed has shown us in our previous demo, where he have spent almost half an hour, 45 minutes to basically create, train, and build a whole model that, believe me or not, can be done within a 3 line of simple text. You can write the text in the whole module will, or whole workflow will be generated, and it's already in preview. So you can see one of the example here that it will create a complete DAX formula. So the whole report is being just created, and all DAX formula and all the things that Microsoft has recently showcased. So you can generate code here. So the DAX is basically data analytics expression language that used in Power BI to create analytical calculations. And this is pretty complex. And for data modeling, semantic data modeling, data analysts use extensively, and they have to spend hours and hours and hours to mastering that one as well. Now they can just simply write a simple piece of code, and they can provide them a suggestion of impactful DAX matrices or measures, and calculated columns can be created just in a just within a simple text. And there's a huge playground available where you can use a sample data, where you can really optimize the tokenization and complete model out here, and that can provide you several of examples that you can play and you can test and you train, and you can call them in your API and use them in your model. Currently API available for Python and also for .NET as well. And same times you can use the OpenAI playground to just basically get started on it. I hope so you like this session, and if you have any questions, I will more than happy to answer that. And if you have any other questions, please let me know. I have the few questions. I have tested the Delhi yesterday, but I ignored 80% of my request to build a picture, but no error reports, just ignored. It depends. It depends that how you're optimizing, how you are basically passing to this information to the DALI out there. DALI is really tricky out there. That's why Microsoft does not offer DALI at this moment. DALI is only available in OpenAI, and controlling a DALI is very challenging. And you need to basically see that the 80% of your request is been to the build the image has no error, but they're not being processed. It's need to be looked into it.
Они уже ушли? Я иду. Так поздно.
Roman, you have to say something? Any questions? Ahmad, any questions? Praveen, any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so guys, thank you for this session. I hope so you enjoyed it. And intentionally, I didn't showcase much demos here because this demo takes slightly longer time, and I'm going to come up with some demo after the classroom, because if I'm going to host a demo, I want to make sure that the resource available for my attendees so they can try it their own. And since the Open Chat GPT is not available in UAE at this moment, but hope so in the next couple of weeks we'll get that when available in UAE region. So when we can try this thing locally, we're going to host a couple of sessions with the Ahmad, in the collaboration with the Ahmad in our upcoming weeks. So I will update you on the Twitter and LinkedIn. So please join us for if you want to see the OpenAI really in actions with the some code. We have a couple of sessions ahead, not in this bootcamp, in our coming weeks in our user group meetings. So thank you for being here. I hope so you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. If you guys have any questions, feel free to plug me or pin me over the Twitter. And that's my profile on the Twitter. If anybody would like to have a conversation, I'll be more than happy to have a conversation about it or answer your questions. Thank you. Have a great day. That's all from my side. Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you, Sama. It was a wonderful session. So now it's time to conclude the event. So on behalf of the organizers of Global AI Bootcamp from Microsoft Developers UAE Meetup and Microsoft Power Platform Users Group, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of you who attended this incredible event. It was a pleasure to have you all here to participate in this AI-focused event, which proved to be an extremely insightful and educational experience. I want to extend a special thanks to our keynote speaker and the live wire of our group, Hatim Nagarwala, for initiating this event and also delivering an enlightening keynote speech. Furthermore, I would like to express my gratitude to all the technical session speakers, Kathleen, Papa, Ahmad Uzair, and Osama Wahab Khan, for sharing their expertise with us. All of their sessions were truly enlightening.